actually edit them. Yeah, so this is the question we're doing yesterday, question 6. We've got a parallelogram. And you know this is a parallelogram because you have two pairs of parallel sides. And any shape with two pairs of parallel sides is a parallelogram. So that's traditionally what you think is a parallelogram, isn't it? So when you think back to grade 6, grade 5, grade 7, and someone showed you a parallelogram, it looked like this, didn't it? Right? They all look like this kind of shape. But actually, a square is also a parallelogram because you have two pairs of parallel sides, don't you? Okay, this is a special parallelogram, but that's a parallelogram and also is a rectangle. So if someone asks you to draw a parallelogram in the class and you draw a square, they can't mark you wrong because actually you have drawn a parallelogram. Because all you need to do is all you need are two pairs of parallel sides. That's the only requirement. So must have two pairs. So the top and bottom and left and right. So two pairs of parallel sides. That's the only requirement. That's the only requirement for a parallelogram. All right, this here. So if you have this is the traditional shape we always see, but also these have parallel sides, don't they? And also a rhombus where you've got equal lengths for the sides. Okay, so these are all parallelograms, so don't forget that. So rhombus, square, rectangle, and also this traditional shape that you saw in grade 6. But a trapezium is not, is it? Because you think about a trapezium, only needs one pair of parallel sides. These two don't have to be parallel. So this is not a parallelogram. That's a trapezium. So you must have, so for trapezium, one pair of parallel, I'll draw that, parallel sides. That's a symbol for parallel lines. So that's a trapezium. That's not a parallelogram because it only has one pair of parallel sides. Okay, so that's just some definition to keep in your mind. So what you can do for me now is find x because, let's clear that out, make it tidy. So what you can do first is find x. Now, one thing about these shapes here, about parallelograms, that when you draw the diagonal, these lengths here will be equal. So x here is the midpoint of AC, and also x is the midpoint of DB, but these lengths obviously look different, and they are different in this case. So first thing to do, can you find the midpoint of AC? So you do that first. So get the midpoint of AC, which is x. All right, you'll get a coordinate pair there, ordered pair, and then use that number to get D. So in your chat box, we'll do the working in a minute. So you write down the coordinate of D, x, y. So I want you to put in these two numbers here. That goes in your chat box. So can you do that now? So everyone who's online should be able to give me something for that. So get x first here, and then use this midpoint to get D. And that x is also the midpoint of DB. All right, do that for a few minutes. And then we'll look at some other ones further down here. So you can work a bit today because these are kind of long questions. So try that. And then we'll do the answer in a minute. Right, Napat, I just explained again about question 6. So what you need to do here is find x and find, that's the midpoint of AC. So use your midpoint formula to get x, and then use that x value to get d. And x is also the midpoint of dB as well. Okay, so you do that. I'll check who's absent and present a bit later. But the main thing is that you put answers in. Okay, I've got a couple of answers there. So if you're just coming in, I want you to calculate x, which is the midpoint of AC. So do that first, get x here. And then I want you to calculate d, which is the coordinate x, y, and put that in your chat box. And x is also the midpoint of dB. So see if you can do that. I've got 4 answers already. You should write Q6, I guess. So if you haven't done it, or you can do it again. So put Q6 in. So I put Q6 here actually, so I know what question you're referring to. Okay, 7 answers. So we got some coming up. Okay, let's take a look and see what you got. So let's get the eraser. Let's get rid of that. So we want to find x first, okay? So x is the midpoint. So let's call that xm. So that would be 0 plus 3 divided by 2, okay? So you're going to get 3 on 2. And then for ym, the y coordinate of the midpoint, it would be 3 plus 0 divided by 2 again. So you're going to get 3 on 2, which is 1.5, right? So this point here is 1.5, 1.5. Okay, and now we want to find this coordinate D. So we know the midpoint already. So we'd have for the x value, this one here, it would be 1.5 is x plus 5 divided by 2. Okay, so the midpoint is, the coordinate is 1.5, which is here. And x value from that one and 5 from this one, add them, then divide by 2 using the midpoint formula. So you're going to get 3 equals x plus 5. So x will be -2 when you have 3 minus 5. So -2 for the x coordinate. For y, it would be 1.5 again, is y plus 3 on 2. So 2 times 1.5 is 3. Y plus 3. So y must be 0. So you should have gotten -2, 0 for your coordinate d. So let's write that there. So d should be -2, 0. Hope you got that. Any questions about that? Is that all right? So it's a little bit tricky, but we'll get there. So that's your point D. That's this one here. The main idea is that you remember this x is a midpoint of the diagonals. So if we have a square, we get the same situation. All right, so these lengths will be equal. And being a square, they're all the same. So we'll get a midpoint. The same when you do a rectangle. If you cross over the diagonals, this point will be the midpoint of the diagonal. So a very useful idea. So let's go up. Okay, how about this one? So what I recommend is that you draw the picture from the start. So let's see what we're going to have. We got 3 coordinates, and they're quite small numbers. So just do a small graph on the side. So you draw this out too, as I'm doing it, and mark your 3 points. And I might let you do the rest of it yourself, but let's mark it out. So -1, 1, 2, 3. So here is -1, 3. B is 1, -1. So 1, -1 down here. And C is 5, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, about here. So 5, 2. Okay, we may not do all of these questions in this section because I want to finish this topic today. So let's see what we can get done. Okay, so join those up, make a triangle. So we've got one from here to here. It's a bit slow. That just stopped. What happened there? All right, so you join them up, let me fix this up. Doesn't like to draw. I'll do it that way. Hey, show up my lines. Where did my lines disappear? Oh, there they are. Okay, so I might rub those out, but you draw your picture. I'll tidy it up. That didn't work very well. 5, 2, about there. Okay, so you keep working and I'll fix my picture. All right, something like that. So think about what we got to do. Find the length of the line segment from A to the midpoint of BC. So the first step you need to do is find the midpoint of BC. So find midpoint of BC. So you do that first. So let's call that M. So you can give it a name if you want. So call that M. It's going to be here somewhere. So you find this point first. And I want to find the length of the line segment from A to M, from A to the midpoint of BC. So you need to find this length here. So you know how to use the length formula already, because that was in the last homework. Okay, so in your chat box, give me that length. After, you don't need to put 1 in, that's just used in the calculation. So write your length in here. Oh, and also the question 7, Q7. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, not too hard. Okay, so put that in your chat box there, that one. So get some points for your behavior, for participation. If we're going back to school soon, this will just become like participation score, but then most of your score going to be on quizzes. So the online work that we've been doing, we just kind of go into like a homework score and combine. I'll probably do a bit of online and it'll go into a homework score anyway, this kind of work. Okay, you do that for a minute. So I've got to fix something up here. So I got a couple of answers, so just put that in. It's not that hard. We didn't get to any hard thing yet. You can write your answer as a decimal if you want, or in the third form. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, Critimef, that looks right. So we want the length, remember. I'm not too worried about the coordinate. So what I want in the chat box is just the length here. Okay, you don't need to put 1 in. So don't worry about doing 1. You don't need to put that into the chat box, just the length of AM. So length of AM. If you're waiting, you can look in question 8 and see, you can start to draw the picture. So go to question 8 if you're waiting for me and others, and go and draw the picture first and think about that a little bit. If you have a good picture, it may save you some work. So look at question 8 while you're waiting there. And I'll do this 7 in a minute. Okay, so let's think about the midpoint of BC, which we called M. So let's call that XM, YM. So XM would be 1 plus 5 divided by 2. And YM, so if you're giving me an answer for length, be real quick, because I'm working on this now. So -1 plus 2 on 2. So you'll get 3 from this coordinate, and this would be a half. So this is M. So that's the point 3.5, which is your midpoint of BC, okay? So we've got that already. So that goes here. We'll write it there. So 3.5 there. That's M. That's your midpoint. So now we want the length of AM. So now we need to use the length formula. So let's write that down. So length. And you may remember that's y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. Okay, so let's do it 3 minus a half squared plus now the x coordinate, -1 minus 3 squared. So I got to refer to my notes here. So I have to do it in my head. So 6.25 for this bit. And that's going to be 16. So you're going to end up, if you simplify this in your calculator, you end up with root 89 on 2, which is 4.72 units. So I think some of you got that all right. So 4.72, 4.03, 4.7. So about that, can you check my working here? Does that look all right? So 4.72 or thereabouts for that one. Okay, let's go on a little bit. So this is question 8. Now, I always recommend to draw the picture because it says what kind of triangle is it. Okay, and if you don't draw it, you may waste your time finding all the lengths. But if you have a good drawing, you're going to know what kind of triangle this is. And the rest of these will be really easy. So that's why I always recommend to draw a picture. So let's make a diagram here and see what we got. So 3, 4. So let's mark out some axes. So you do this as well. So draw this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly equal. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. It goes up to 8. So 1, so -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Go negative, so -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. And then so start to plot these points here. You'll make your life hard if you don't make a diagram, especially when we get to near the end of the book. There's some quite complicated diagrams that you need to draw. So otherwise it's very hard to solve without a diagram. So 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. About here. So this is P, 3, 4. Q is 5, 8. So 3, 4, 5, but then up to 8 here. Q, 5, 8. Now R is 7, 4. This is in the way, so I'm going to move this. I'll put that one on the other side. So P, 3, 4 here. And R is 7, 4. 5, 6, 7, 4. That's interesting. So what you got here is a triangle. Now the base is parallel to the x-axis, isn't it? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a line of symmetry down through here. All right. So put in the chat box what kind of triangle this is. So in the chat box, before we go too far, what kind of triangle is it? Is it equilateral, isosceles, or scalene? Just write E, I, or S. Can you put that in the chat box? Just look at the picture. What do you think it is based on your numbers that you have? You don't need to get the lengths, do you? Look at your picture. It could be equilateral, but I think these sides are too long. So if it's not clear in your picture, you may need to check the sides. So E, I, or S, what do you think? And R was 7, 4. I'll make it a bit bigger. So just put the name in, what you think it is. All right. Okay, let's see. What do you think? Yeah, I for isosceles, is it? Yeah, because if you look at your picture, if you've drawn it fairly accurately, you should see that this is 3 and this is 7. So this is the middle, this is 5, which means that these lengths are equal here. Okay, that point there is going to be 7, 5, 4. Sorry, 5, 4. Yeah, and I think these ones are actually longer, aren't they? These ones look longer from your picture than this one down here. So I'm guessing it's isosceles from my picture, which is not very good. Okay, so what kind of triangle it is? Isosceles. If it's equilateral, I think the vertex Q will be further down somewhere in here. It just doesn't look equilateral from my picture here. State the coordinates of the midpoint S of the side PR. Well, I already did it. You see that? So you've got 3, 4, and 7, 4. So the middle must be 5. 7 minus 3 is. So 7 minus 3. So 7 plus 3 actually. And divided by 7 plus 3 divided by 2. So that gives you 5. Had to think then. So you already have that answer there. So that's going to be 5, 4. Okay with that? I didn't even use the formula because you have a horizontal line from 3, 4 to 7, 4. So it's just the middle point between 7 and 3. Okay. Okay, what's the area then? I'll wait for you. So in your chat box, you can write question 8. Area. So area equals what? So you can do that. Calculate the area of that triangle. Remember, it's half base height. So this is your height here. And we have the base already along here. Right, so calculate your area and put that in the chat box there. And that was isosceles from that one. So what do you think for the area? Remember, it's half base height, the formula. So think about that one. Any answer for the area? Isn't it not that hard, is it? Half. What's the base? This is your base here. Quickly calculate. So the base is that length there. This is from 7 to 3. So this base length is obviously 4, isn't it? 7 minus 3 is 4. So put your answer in real quick. The height is from 8 down to 4, isn't it? So this here was 8. And at this point, this length, this is 4. So the height has to be 8 minus 4. So the height of the triangle is 4. So just use your coordinates to calculate. So that's going to be, just checking what I've done there. Okay, this is okay. So 7 minus 3 is 4. And the height from this is also 4. So half times 16, going to be 8 square units. You got that answer? Any problems? So let me know if I do anything wrong. Yeah, 8 square units looks like the answer for that one. All right, so let's go on a little bit. Whoops. Do that. Get my panning hand to work. Just this one's to do with the median. So this one actually is quite, it's going to take too long. But basically, you've got a triangle, which is here. You can do this in your own time if you want extra practice. So we want to find the lengths of the 3 medians. And we'll do a bit of that on the next question anyway. So this is the midpoint. So you need to find the length of this line here. And also the length from this coordinate down to the middle, call that M1, this is M2. This is the midpoint. So find the length of the blue line and also the middle of this side down to there. That would be M3. Okay, we'll talk about this point here in the next question, but you can do that one if you want by yourself later on. Maybe for practice before the quiz, you can try some extra questions in the book. Oops, so let's see. Actually, I did do that one, and I didn't do the next one. It's quite, how much time do we have left? 13 minutes. Let me just see what's here. I want to go to the next page. Scroll. Terrible program. My hand is stuck. What I'll do, I'm going to reshare this because it's messed up on me. Okay, so hold on. Let's reshare that. Sometimes it gets stuck for some reason. I have no idea. Let's see if it's any better. No, I'm going to close the program. I will open it again. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, let's see if I can get this moving again. We can go to question 11. I'll leave those couple of previous ones. We can talk about them later, maybe. So let me share this again. Don't you love technology? Okay, I guess you can see that one now. So we'll go to question 11. And we've got a triangle. So I think a good idea is to draw this one out. We've got, say, 10 minutes. So let's sketch this one out. Let's make it with the axes here. All right. So I got some axes here. You can draw them yourself. Let's go down. Okay, just checking where I'm up to. Okay, so we should put these 3 points on. So can you sketch that quickly? Try to keep your scale the same so you've got an idea of what's going on. So -2. So let's count out let's put a few marks in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try to keep them equally spaced on both axes. Otherwise, you might get a weird looking picture, and then it's a little bit hard to interpret what's going on. So keep them fairly equally spaced. So A is -2, 3. So -2, 3, 1, 2, 3, about here. B is 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 5. And we've got C, which is 0. So X is 0, Y is -6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6 down here. So that's 0, -6. D is the midpoint of AB. So I guess we should join them and make a triangle. So you do that. So join your points up. Got one down to here. Like that. So if you have a tablet, I think you can use this, continue to use the tablet in school. No one said anything to me about it, that you can't. But if everyone had a tablet, actually be really useful, because I thought I could actually do the Zoom class when we're in the classroom. So I can sit and explain on my computer just like I'm doing now. And then you can watch me demonstrate these pictures, because it's much easier to draw in the tablet than it is to draw on the board actually. And then you can still ask me questions because I'm in the same room, but that will only work if you actually got a tablet though. Or if you don't have a tablet, you'll have to have a phone to kind of be looking at. So you should think about that if you don't have a tablet at the moment. Okay, so D is the midpoint of AB. So it looks like you're going to have to get some things here. So get your midpoint. So you do that first. Get your midpoint here. And E is the midpoint of BC. So get D. So this is the first thing to do. You got 8 minutes. So get D there. Just draw the quick sketch. And E is the midpoint of BC. So E is somewhere down here. I think it's a little bit below here. So this is going to be E. And that's the midpoint of BC. So you need to find E, so do that. And when we're in the classroom, you're kind of doing all of this by yourself. So it's actually much harder because I don't do as many examples in the classroom, as you know. So now find those 2 points. Show that DE, that means the length of DE. So you need to show the length of DE is half times the length of AC. So AC is twice as long as DE. So I'll draw a line there somewhere in another color. So from here down, oh, I should have used straight edge. So here, it's around there, I think. Okay, so you got a little bit of work to do on this one, actually. So get this one. So find D and E, and then show, there's nothing actually to show me on the chat box here, but maybe you find D and E, you can put those in. But for this one, show the length DE is half times AC. So that means you need to get both of the lengths and show me that this rule here is true. So you find length DE and you find length AC. And now you need to show me this is true here. So when you put the length DE and then you multiply half to AC, you should get the length DE, okay? So show this is true. So you got 5 minutes. We stop at 12:20. So you can do that one as the last one. There's a couple other questions here, but you can always do them for your practice for the quiz. I don't think we're going to have midterm or final tests by the sounds of it, but that just means we have more quizzes. So your online work will become a smaller fraction of the score. Right, I'll stop talking for a few minutes. So you do that and I'll let you finish that one. And tomorrow or the next period, we'll go on with the matrix. So let me know if you don't get them being equal. And your matrix work is due tonight. So that means you're going to get this midpoint homework very soon, right? But it's not a very long one though. Maybe a couple of pages. So the midpoint homework, not very long. So if you got D, let's see what you'd get for D. So do these and just check you actually get the same as me. So you'll be -2, let's do XM, -2 plus 3 on 2. That's a half. YM will be 3 plus 5 on 2. That's 4. So it looks about right, half 4 for that midpoint. And for this one, XM would be 0 plus 3 on 2. YM, -6 plus 5 on 2. So that's 3 on 2 and -1 on 2, so -0.5. So that looks about right, the position for these coordinates. So 3 on 2, so it's 1.5, or 3 on 2 minus a half. So do your length calculation. Now what I got, I'll give you my answer and you can check yours. Now for AC, I got √85. So just check you get √85 here using your length formula. And this length is actually √85 on 2. That one there, the grey one. So √85 on 2. So then what I would do, I would take my two lengths and put them into this formula here. So DE equals a half AC. Now this should be true. We want to check with our numbers. So DE is √85 on 2 equals a half times AC, and AC is √85. Well, obviously they're going to be equal, aren't they? You're going to have √85 on 2 is equal to √85 times a half, which is divided by 2, equal. So that's all you would need to do to show the answer there for that one. So when I say show, that means you actually have to stick some numbers in and show me this is true. So don't assume I know what you're talking about. So you could say, therefore, DE equals a half AC as like your final conclusion. So I know that you've actually put the numbers in and checked. So sub numbers here. And then check you get the two sides being equal. And that's all you have to do to finish. All right, I think that's enough for today. So the next period, 12, you can try that one yourself if you like when you practice for the test. But if you want to get a really high score in quizzes, just make sure everything's done in the book and you understand what's going on. So, but the next period we'll talk about, well, when we do core, we'll talk about straight lines. We'll talk about graphing. Quite an important topic actually for like SAT exam and things like that. You do see quite a lot of graphing in SAT. And I think many of you will be doing that test as well, from what I can tell from the current grade 12 and grade 11. So, right, so I think I'll stop there and I'll talk to you on the next period. And I think we'll do matrices and we'll talk about multiplication for that lesson, all right? So hopefully everything's all right. So homework tonight, I think I got most of it, but there's a couple of students still have to give me the matrix homework. So make sure you get to me on time because you lose lots of marks if it's late. So even if you get 100% correct, you're only going to get 50 if it's late. So make sure it's on time. All right, I'll talk to you next period, all right? Okay, bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, doctor.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Thanks, see ya.